Neil, and nearly another week of training done. How's it going? We're waiting with bated breath here.
So far, so good. We said at the start that we had to run the risk of pushing the players hard and, knowing that we might lose one or two to muscle injuries along the way. But we felt that was going to be the best option rather than, trying to sort of get everyone through it without an injury but leaving us undercooked when the game come round. So touch wood, we've had a couple of niggles that have kept a player out for a couple of days here or there, but nothing that's sort of been touch wood, 10 days, 2 weeks, which would probably be too much to be ready for the main games.
What's this week looked like in terms of the work on the training pitch? Has it changed much from the previous week or two?
Yeah, we've still added the element of fitness that we needed into all elements of the training, so we've constantly, that's a big deal to us, so we try and do all that with the balls anyway, but we started to try and get back to now we're sort of focusing on one system still, just the one system, but we're trying to get back to now getting the rotational elements of that system and how it works and how it functions into the players, the reminders, and we're working a lot more tactically now to try and get ready for the games, and then obviously we'll start to address the set pieces, the throw-ins, every single facet that players will need a good reminder of.
When you say assessing things tactically, are you focusing on your own team at the minute? Are you able to look at Barnet and Yeovil at the same time and throw a few sessions in about them both, or are you going to wait until that's decided?
No. That's pointless until you're playing. We'll have a week once we know who's won that game to focus. There's no point. We are putting together the analysis team, recruitment, and putting together as much information as we can get on both. So we're already ahead of the whole thing. And then what we'll look at is obviously we'll watch the game, and then that will give us any additional. You'll know from that game who's fit, who's not, and stuff like that. So. We worry about them. I think we probably won't focus on that actual game until sort of the 3 days prior to the game, because it's fresh in the memory. If you start doing that too early, they could change the shape and people will forget about what you do 2 weeks ago.
We're approaching a bit of a milestone in the playoff preparations with a friendly against Dorking on Saturday. Can you just tell us a little bit about why you've organised it and what the whole day is going to look like?
Yeah, obviously we can train them hard. We can, do 11v10 type work on the training field and work through stuff. But there's nothing like getting out onto a pitch with a game against an opposition when you're all on the same team and trying to get them hard yards in that sort of situation. And whilst we all know that the result doesn't necessarily matter too much, getting the edge that a game against an opposition would bring is vital to us, but we've got to follow a lot of strict guidelines. For argument's sake, there'll be no officials to do the match because we even the Premier League, any friendlies they had, the staff had to officiate the match. So players moan at us enough in training when we make bad decisions. They'll moan in the game. So we're between us and Dorking, we'll have to officiate the game, and it will be totally behind closed doors. It's not something. It's not like a pre-season, come and have a look at our new signings type game. It's this is all about the legs. This is all about the 25th of July. This is all about trying to get us into a spot that when the fans do watch us on BT, that they can, hopefully it'll all pay dividends. And
it's an opportunity as well, isn't it, Gaffer, for the club to prepare for that playoff game in an operational sense, because what a lot of people probably don't realise is the strict sort of one-way systems that you and the players have to use, everything that we're doing to try and keep the lads safe. That's on a match day is an extra thing to think about, and it'll be useful come that Yeovil or Barnet game to have one under your belt.
Yeah, well, you have to get signed off match day protocols, and we've done ours and they've worked very hard on it. So we've just had a meeting with the safety team to go through everything so that we know what's happening on match day. We've then got to relay that to the players, and what we need to do is practice. We need to practice, because otherwise then on that all-important day when it really matters, people are a little bit confused about where they're meant to be, why and what happens, whereas if we actually run through it, then it becomes the norm, and then people are relaxed on the actual day and they know what's happening. So there's a lot, there's red zones, amber zones, green zones, there's lots to think about, lots to know, one-way systems, only a certain amount of players in a dressing room, so we have to split the dressing rooms. Where you do your team talks, all that kind of stuff. 3 people in a dugout only, so where everyone else would sit. So you've got to go through all these processes so that it becomes the norm.
will one game be enough, or are you going to try and get another friendly in there?
We're looking at trying to get a second, so there's something that we're working on, and we think we'll be able to do again in the right way against a team that's been tested, no match officials, all exactly the same process. So, and again, this is all for us to be able to perform on the 25th, and it's not something that we want to be singing and dancing about. It's just totally behind closed doors as part of our training preparation.